My friends, tensions are increasing once again in the Middle East. Currently, the most likely scenario is that Iran will use its minions and proxies in the region like Hezbollah and the Houthis of Yemen as an instrument of retaliation against Israel. In my previous video, I covered the possibilities of an Israeli invasion of South Lebanon. So today I'll cover what if Hezbollah strikes first? What if they launch a preemptive strike on Israel like some sort of blitzkrieg?
Oh shit, not good.
We could witness the infiltration of elite Hezbollah commandos deep inside Israel to capture key military positions and create chaos, combined with large rocket, missile, and drone strikes on critical military and economic installations across the country. However, this time on a much larger magnitude than what we have seen so far. Current Israeli estimates suggest that Hezbollah could fire 3,000 to 4,000 rockets daily at Israel, at least in the first stages of the war. In comparison, Hezbollah succeeded in firing a maximum of 160 rockets per day during the 2006 war, and averaged approximately 100 rockets every 24 hours. So today we're speaking about 40 times more firepower. In 2024, Hezbollah is estimated to have an impressive arsenal of around 130,000 to 150,000 rockets and missiles. What if they fire 20,000, 30,000 rockets and missiles within the first days? It could completely saturate Israel's air defense capabilities. Just like a bullfighter waving the red rag and poking the bull, Hezbollah's objectives would be to force Israel to respond quickly, ideally by launching a premature and poorly planned ground invasion of South Lebanon against fortified positions that Hezbollah prepared for years. Welcome to History Legends, and here are the latest news of the Israel-Iran war. If you're new to this channel, make sure to like and subscribe. As you know, some of my latest videos have been targeted with limited or no ads, so make sure to check out my Patreon or PayPal to keep the show running. Thank you to everyone that has already helped, and welcome to the headquarters. Option 1. Low-scale war of attrition. Despite this escalation and all the announcements, Israel and Hezbollah could simply carry on this war of attrition, where both sides bombard each other across the border. In this scenario, each side continues to put pressure on the enemy, all the while preventing an escalation that could spiral out of control, with military targets being given priority. This type of petite guerre or small-scale war of attrition could last for months, even years. For sure, there are casualties. For example, I looked through an Hezbollah-affiliated Telegram channel, and they reported 400 KIA within their ranks or their allies like the Amal movement. It's certainly significant, but there's no doubt that they can replace these losses. On top of that, it's important to mention that Iranian weapons are continuously being transferred to Hezbollah through the Syrian border. So whatever Hezbollah fires gets replaced. So the most important for them is to keep these supply lines flowing. However, given the current circumstances, it will be difficult to maintain this status quo. First of all, Hezbollah has been carrying strikes deeper and deeper inside Israel, forcing about 100,000 civilians to abandon their homes. And overall, we can expect some sort of retaliation from Iran. Option 2. A commando operation. Option 2 consists of a preemptive offensive by Hezbollah, using a combination of ground forces, supported by an intense rocket artillery barrage and drone strikes. But before we can draw up some battle plan, let's first take a look at what kind of weapons Hezbollah has in storage. From all the videos circulating on social media, we know Hezbollah makes heavy use of anti-tank guided weapons. I mentioned some of them in my previous video, like the Almas ATGM, which is a copy of the Israeli Spike, the Tufan, a copy of the American BGM-71 TOW missile, and the Tarala launcher, which is a local invention and basically a double Russian cornet. In a way, we can say the operators of these weapons have grown extremely skilled. They have been sniping non-stop Israeli tanks camping on the border area. What makes these units lethal is that they can be camouflaged and attack beyond the line of sight. In this video, we can see one of the missiles going over a hill, straight towards Israeli APCs. On top of that, with these ATGMs, Hezbollah carried a very effective campaign to systematically take out all Israeli ISR installations along the border. ISR stands for Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance. Because of such ATGM units, the Meron base has been targeted multiple times. As of June 2024, the Meron base got targeted in January, February, March, and April. For example, here they fired the camera-guided Almas to strike right into a radar system. By the way, make sure to check out Middle East Observer on Twitter. He specialized in the Israel-Hezbollah war. Overall, this is a very effective, low-cost war. The destruction of all this ISR equipment along the border allowed Hezbollah to launch drone strikes deeper and deeper into enemy territory. Drones are probably one of the biggest tactical evolutions of the organization since the 2006 war. This Israeli think tank, the Alma Research and Education Center, estimates that Hezbollah possesses as many as 2,000 UAVs. Although, disclaimer, they don't break down how they came about these numbers. As part of their psychological war effort aimed at sowing fear on the Israeli public, Hezbollah released videos from recon drones flying over critical facilities in Israel. Here they released a 10-minute video over the port of Haifa, showing positions of air defenses and radars, factories, numerous ships, and other key IDF installations. On the 9th of July 2024, this time their surveillance drone flew over the Golan Heights sector and recorded military outposts and even the positions of numerous Iron Dome deployment sites. These videos were not shot at once, but over several days between late April and early May. The Lebanese drone operators probably used the reconnaissance Hudhud-1 UAV. This model has a range of 30 kilometers and operational duration of 90 minutes. It is characterized by its relatively compact size, 1.9 by 1.5 meters. In turn, its small radar cross-section makes it difficult to detect. It's no secret that Iran supplied Hezbollah with a panoply of drones, like some sort of sugar daddy. Another option is the Iranian-made Shahed 101 kamikaze UAV. It is used by all its proxies across the Middle East, like the Houthis in Yemen, the Shia militias in Iraq, and of course Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Shahed 101 is equipped with an electric motor, specifically designed to enhance its stealth capabilities and put simply make it harder to detect. The piston engine version has an estimated flight range of 800 to 900 kilometers and can carry a warhead of 10 kilograms. In terms of reconnaissance drones, Hezbollah also uses the Samad-1 with a range of 500 kilometers and the Samad-2, which can be armed with an 18-kilogram payload. We can also mention bigger models like the Mersad-1. Originally, it's the Iranian Ababil twin-tail combat and reconnaissance drone with a range of 200 kilometers and that can carry a warhead of 40 to 50 kilograms. Also from Iran, the infamous Shahed 129, 1,600 kilometer range that can fly at 150 kilometers an hour, all the while carrying a 400 kilogram payload. It seems the Iranians are extremely good at reverse engineering. That's how they provided their Lebanese proxy with a derivative of the US-made Beechcraft MQM-107 Streaker. It's like some sort of long-range bomber drone that can carry two 250-pound general-purpose bombs at a range of 500 kilometers. But it can also be armed with anti-ship missiles like the Kawsar and Nasser-1. Lastly, we have to talk about the multi-role Mohajer UAV. It has an operational range of up to 500 kilometers. It has 4 slots under the wings and 2 others under the main fuselage meant for air-to-ground missiles or bombs. It is also equipped with electronic countermeasures and radar detection. Additionally, we have evidence of a couple of FPV drones. As you can see in this video, this one targeted an Israeli RPS-42 MHR radar. It is currently unknown how many FPV drones Hezbollah possesses. However, we can estimate multiple hundreds at least, since those are modified commercial drones that are relatively cheap and easy to procure. Now, if they really want to inflict damage, we'll have to look at their more endowed tubes. The bulk of Hezbollah's arsenal consists of short-range and unguided projectiles, mostly Katyusha variants. This part of the arsenal comprises different types of rockets, mainly 107 and 122 mm, whose reach ranges from 4 to 40 kilometers. and can carry warheads containing between 10 to 20 kilograms of high explosives or sub-munitions. The 122mm 9M22 Grad type is one of the most popular variants used by Hezbollah today. According to CSIS, Hezbollah has about 40,000 to 80,000 short-range unguided rockets, including the Katyusha variant. They also possess a number of unguided surface-to-surface artillery rockets of the model Falak. This rocket system was developed by Iran in the 1990s. There is the Falak 1 with a range of 10 kilometers and a warhead of 50 kilograms, and the Falak 2 that has a range of 10 kilometers as well, but this model carries a 120 kilogram high explosive warhead. Lastly, Hezbollah artillery units are also equipped with 107mm Fajr 1 multiple rocket launcher systems. The rockets can be fired by the Iranian-made Hasab type launchers, which is strangely similar to the German World War II Nebelwerfer. In the end, the Hasab launcher holds up to 12 rockets with a range of 8 to 10 kilometers and 8 kilogram HE warheads. Now what can we expect Hezbollah to do with all this good stuff? Let's say they plan on carrying out a commando raid on the Meron base, a primary hub for command and control, electronic warfare, and surveillance in the north of Israel. Disclaimer: going commando is always a risky move. We could see waves of drone strikes all across the sector to saturate Israeli air defense capabilities, followed by a second wave, where this time Hezbollah would fire its short-range artillery systems. Hypothetically, let's say 10 to 20,000 rockets within 24 hours. This will cause massive panic and chaos. At the same time, ATGM crews could target armored vehicles all around the perimeter of attack and slow down Israel's responsiveness. That's when Hezbollah orders its commando force forward, which could infiltrate Israeli territory through the rugged terrain, but maybe also through tunnels. It is certainly a possibility since they already used tunnels in the past to get inside Israel. For such a mission, they could deploy the Radwan Special Operations Unit. This elite regiment even released a video where they practiced the storming of an Israeli base, where they're supported by various ATGMs and even mortars. The Meron base is located 7 kilometers from the border on a hilltop. Hezbollah fighters could reach the base within 30 minutes, with small, very mobile units aboard motorbikes, quad bikes, and light all-terrain vehicles. The goal could consist in a search and destroy mission, seizing ISR equipment, and even the capture of military personnel. Meanwhile, other units will launch diversion attacks left and right to divert Israel's response. For example, a raid on the HQ of the IDF's 146th Division located in the sector of Nahariya, 9 kilometers south of the border. All this together should allow the commandos to return back to Lebanon. Theoretically, Hezbollah could even bring its MRLS artillery units forward in order to momentarily increase its firing range. Another interesting commando operation could be launched in the sector of the Sheba Farms, a part of Lebanon that is currently occupied by Israel. If successful, such an operation could bring immense prestige to the organization. The objective of this operation would be to provoke Israel to respond irrationally and launch the invasion of South Lebanon prematurely before the IDF completed its war preparations. Option 3. Hezbollah strikes economic and military infrastructure across Israel. In a recent speech, Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, declared that his organization could strike deep inside Israel, and how factories that took 34 years to build could be destroyed within 1 hour or even 30 minutes. He states that the economic losses of such an attack would be huge, minus $31 billion for chemical plants, minus $76 billion for technology factories, minus $9.7 billion for power plants, and minus $12 billion for food factories. Hezbollah could definitely launch a massive bombardment campaign against all sorts of infrastructure across Israel, including targets in dense urban centers like Haifa, Netanya, and even Tel Aviv. So let's take a look at Hezbollah's missile inventory. Hezbollah is believed to have around 80,000 medium-range rockets, such as the Fajr 3 with a range of 45 kilometers and a payload of 45 kilograms, and the Fajr 5 that can hit targets 75 kilometers away with a 90 kilogram warhead. As you can see here, the Fajr 3 launchers are already much bigger, as they're mounted on a truck chassis. The Shia militia's arsenal also holds Soviet Uragan type of rockets, like the Rad-2 with a 65km range, and the Rad-3 with a 70km range and a 50kg warhead. Instead of firing these rockets from a massive 3 layers of tubes, Hezbollah changed the design to be able to fire these rockets from lighter launch vehicles, equipped with only 1 layer of 4 tubes. There's also evidence that Hezbollah is using Khaybar-1 unguided rockets, named after the Battle of Khaybar. I'm not going to talk about it, you can look it up yourself. The Khaybar-1 has a range of 100 kilometers while carrying a 150kg payload. For example, here's a picture of a Syrian Khaybar MRLS. Since they're all mounted on trucks, they're relatively mobile and easy to hide, perfect for hit-and-run attacks. On top of that, these medium-range rockets could be used to saturate Israel's David Sling air defense system in order to break open a path for long-range missiles. These include the Tel family, an Iranian variant of the Soviet Frog 7 artillery ballistic missile. Hezbollah's arsenal includes the Tel-1, which has a range of 125 to 160 kilometers, all the while carrying a 600kg high-explosive warhead, and the Tel-2 with an increased range of 210 kilometers while carrying the same 600kg payload. It's important to note that Tel rockets are fairly inaccurate and require a large TEL, or Transporter Erector Launcher, essentially a vehicle with a significant target signature. The number of Tel-1 and Tel-2 rockets in Hezbollah's possession is not publicly disclosed. One 2006 report found that Hezbollah likely held a few dozen Tel rockets, while another cited as many as 200. If we take into account the massive increase in firepower of Hezbollah in the last 20 years, today could be 40 times higher. They could have nearly 10,000 of those rockets. We could also mention the Fatr 110 and M600 with a range of 250 to 300 kilometers. This artillery can cover almost the entirety of Israel, and Hezbollah is believed to hold hundreds of these missiles. Both the Fatr 110 and M600 are GPS guided and can inflict significant damage as they carry 450 to 500kg payloads.
Everybody stay calm! What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm!
Lastly, for this category of weapons, there are rumors indicating that Syria transferred a number of Scud missiles to Hezbollah. Just like the previous artillery systems, Scud variants range between 300 to 500 kilometers, but this time carrying 600 to 985kg payloads, and they're said to require 45 minutes of preparation. In the end, they do not provide Hezbollah with as much of an advantage compared to the Fatr 110. Throughout this video, we only talked about ground targets, but don't you think that Israel's naval capabilities will not be affected? Hezbollah's arsenal includes the Chinese-made C-802 developed in the 1970s and 80s. It has a range of 120 kilometers while carrying a 165kg warhead. It is currently unclear how many CO-82 ASCMs Hezbollah has in its arsenal, but according to this picture, they have at least 5. They even recorded this cool little video to flex. On top of that, Israel considers the Russian-made Yahont anti-ship cruise missile to be one of the main threats it faces from Hezbollah. According to US intelligence, in 2016, Syria transferred 12 Yahon ASCMs to Hezbollah. The Yahont has a range of 300 kilometers, while carrying either a 200kg high-explosive warhead or a 200kg semi-armor piercing warhead. What makes it dangerous is that it is supersonic and employs inertial navigation-based guidance. This could seriously complicate Israel's blockade of Lebanon, especially considering Hezbollah's coastal radars. Thank you for your patience. Now let's take a look at the battle plan. The first array of strikes could be fired against economical infrastructure. Israel is highly dependent on importations, so a primary target could be the port of Haifa in the north of the country. It's Israel's main port as it handles 30 million tons of cargo per year. Hezbollah can reach it with medium-range rockets, drones, and long-range missiles. Potentially, there could be strikes on the port of Ashdod, which handles 19 million tons of cargo and the port of Hadera, located between Haifa and Tel Aviv, which handles 7 million tons of cargo. Due to its location and importance, a strike on the port of Haifa is to be expected. We just have to look at all the logistics infrastructure that Hezbollah's drones recorded. An attack using swarms of unmanned surface vessels is also a threat to be taken seriously. These strikes alone will put a serious strain on Israel's economy, but Hezbollah could go even further. Haifa and Ashdod are two major cities, where Hezbollah could also target various power plants and refineries, essentially put down the country's energy system. Without it, the economy will be paralyzed. Both Haifa and Ashdod's oil refineries are within strike distance of medium-range rockets and long-range missiles, as well as some of their drones like the Shahid 129, Karar, Mohajer, and Samad. Here's a map of potential power plants that could be targeted. But of course, like the war in Ukraine has demonstrated, destroying a power plant with missiles is not an easy task. So Hezbollah will probably concentrate on the largest ones located closer to the Lebanese border, such as Orat Rabin, Haifa, and Hagit. On top of economic infrastructure, there are various military installations that could also be targeted, primarily Iron Dome radars and command and control centers. We talked about the Meron base earlier. Instead of a risky commando operation, they could simply blast it with missiles. Another base could be Mitzpe Ramon, located in the Negev desert, 50 kilometers south of Beersheba. Only long-range missiles and drones could strike it. For information, Mitzpe Ramon Air Base was struck on the 13th of April 2024, as it was slightly damaged by 7 Iranian missiles. The radars of Mitzpe Ramon are important because they provide Israel with an aerial picture of the entire southern theater that covers southern Israel, Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. Another set of targets could be the air bases where F-16s, F-15s, F-35s, and UAVs are located. Side note, F-35s and F-15s can carry nuclear weapons. For example, we can think the Ramat David base will be a target of choice for Hezbollah. It's located 20 kilometers southeast of Haifa and home to 3 squadrons of F-16s, 2 squadrons of UAVs, and 1 squadron of Eurocopter Panther helicopters. It's not a coincidence that on the 24th of July, Hezbollah released this video of yet another one of the recon drones flying right over this very important airbase. Otherwise, all the other ones are located south of Tel Aviv. Palmashim, Tel Nof, Hatzor, Sdod Misha, Hatzerim, Nevatim, Ramon, Ovda. To strike them, Hezbollah will have to launch its precious long-range missiles and bypass air defense. Of all the air bases in the south, Nevatim could be a primary target, home to 3 squadrons of F-35s and 1 squadron of GV and G550 aircraft that are used for special electronic mission aircraft, conformal airborne early warning, electronic intelligence, and communication intelligence. With that being said, I still believe Hezbollah will focus its attention on targets located in the north of Israel. The big question is, can Israel afford to let Hezbollah grow stronger and stronger as years go by? We already saw how much they increased their firepower between 2006 and now. What is it going to be like in 10, 15 years? That's all I have for you today. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of my analysis. If you're new to this channel, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to support my work, make sure to check out my Patreon or PayPal. The links are in the description below.